Welcome back to session 2. This is our second video for session 2, and in this video I'm going to be looking at the functional movement of going up and down the stairs and how we can bring out fractions of that movement that we can start training away from actually going up and down the stairs. So stairs themselves, of course, are a certain height. I know that can vary, but often that height of our normal domestic step is quite high to actually start training on. It's already difficult to do. So let's train away from that. And what I suggest you train on is something like this. It's a book, it's nice and solid, just happens to be a physiotherapy physiology book, but I'm putting it to a different use, a really practical use. So I'm going to place this on the floor and use this as a much more manageable height to step off and onto. Just a word of safety here is just make sure whatever it is you choose is solid enough, robust enough to be used as a training tool. Perhaps with a book, just check that it doesn't slide from side to side like this too much. If it does, maybe wrap some tape around it. Always be safe. Okay, so if you've selected yourself a book or another suitable piece of equipment, place it on the floor. So I'm going to do this side on first, and then I'll do it facing the camera. So we're training a fraction of the movement of doing the stairs, going up and down the stairs. I'm going to stand on the book with both hands, and as with our weight transferring, as with our stuck in the mud walking fraction, hold on if you need to hold on. And if your balance is just slightly off, hold on. We're trying to build the strength, and the balance will come with that. So here I am. In this scenario, I've just got one hand on the wall up here or lower down, and I'm going to step down off the book with one leg and bring myself back up again. Now, in the way I'm doing it at the moment, I'm stepping down my right leg, and my standing leg on the now upper step is my left leg. So I'm stepping down with the right. As I step down with the right, it's my left leg, the leg remaining on the step, which is doing all of the work, lowering me down. So if I'm stepping off with my right leg, I'm going to be training my left leg. The foot that's remaining on the step or on the book is the foot that or the leg that I'm training. Okay, it's important to know that, so you're training the right side or the correct side. If you want to train both, then obviously just swap over. So now my right leg is doing all of the work because it's the right foot that remains on the step, which will then become the upper step, of course. Okay, so just practicing that or showing that to you facing forwards. Just turn my step around. So I'm holding on, and as I go down, it's the foot on the step that's doing the work. One thing to note as we're doing this, in much the same way as we looked at that pelvic sway when we were doing the balance or walking fractions, on this stair fraction or stepping fraction, we also want to control that pelvic line parallel with the floor and control that sway. So if there's weakness or lack of control in this movement, what will happen is we'll start to sway to the side. Okay, we'll start to sway to that side where the weight is. So we want to try and control that. And it's going to be harder to control if we're not holding on when that would be helpful. It's going to be harder to control this if the step height is too high. We can also practice, of course, stepping up. So again, if I just do this to the side and move my book around. So the leg that I'm stepping up with, in this case my right leg, is the leg doing most of the work. Okay, and if I step back down, again it's the foot that's on the step that's doing most of the work. And then I can repeat. The right leg is up, that's the one doing the work on the way up. And as I step backwards, it's still the right leg doing the work, lowering me back to the floor. So when we're stepping up, it's the leg that goes up first that you're training. And of course we can swap if we need to, hold on, just as before. And again, just as before, we want to see if we can control the muscles around the pelvis and the hip, that potential for pelvic sway to the side. How do we progress this? One way is to get another book and put that on top. So even with these two books, I'm still less height than the average step. So I'm gradually building up my tolerance to the height and the bending through the knee and the hip that's required. Just on that subject of progressions, another way of progressing is to increase the number of repetitions that you're doing within your session. And as mentioned in the material that I sent out to you, what you don't want to do when you're progressing your movement is to increase two parameters at the same time. So what I wouldn't do here is increase the number of repetitions and increase the height of the step in the same session. Okay, so choose which one you want to increase and go for that before increasing another parameter. Another aspect of going up and down the stairs is actually the ability to go up on your toes. So, for example, as I'm coming up the stairs here, in particular coming up the stairs, although the right leg is doing a bulk of the work, the left foot or the rear foot is pushing up through the toes to get me onto the step. So as I do this fraction movement, I can concentrate on pushing up through the rear toes to get me up onto the step. It's not doing all of the work, but I can try and feel that happening. And I'll feel a bit of tension in my calf muscle at the back here, and in my foot and my toes as it's pushing me up. At the same time, my right forward foot is lifting me up. So we can practice that push through the rear toes, either while we're on our book or whatever you're using. We can practice pushing up through the toes in isolation. So the classic way of doing this is standing with your hands resting on a surface. It could be the wall, it could be the window shelf here, or some other surface. So if I've got my hands on the wall, I can go up and down on the toes like this. If that's too much of a challenge, I can put my hands on the windowsill where I can put some weight through my hands and not all of it going through the feet, and I can go up and down my toes like this. If that's too much of a challenge, there's always a way of breaking this down. I can lean my weight more fully onto the windowsill or the kitchen work surface, whatever's comfortable. I can lean my weight more fully and go up and down on my toes like this. Less weight going through my legs. If that is too much of a challenge, I can even sit down on a chair. So imagine I'm sitting on a chair, most of my weight's going through my bottom end of the chair, and then I can just go up and down on my toes like this. Okay, so I want you to imagine I'm sitting on a chair, don't do this against the wall. If that's too much of a challenge, I can just simply lie down and have no weight going through my legs and my feet, and just move my foot as I lie down, up and down, like this. There's always a way of breaking this down. And if I start at this point, if I need to start at this point for it to be sustainable and not make me worse, I can gradually, over time, start to progress it to sitting, to standing and leaning, to standing and taking the weight through the feet, to standing and holding on to the wall. And that finally will allow me to stand and step up and push through the back toes. So everything is graded and everything is trainable if we start at the right level. All right, so I hope these fractions of the stairs can be fed into your movement regime if that's something you want to train. Okay, see you next time.